It should be able to go without saying that I am not a liberal in any sense of the word's meaning. Most everything that is going wrong in society now is the result of liberal progressives pushing an agenda that is anti God, anti family, self worship, perversion, and on and on. That's the easy way to approach politics from the good side, that everything is the liberals' fault. But what's not so easy is casting a fair share of the blame on the conservatives, those who initially oppose an ideological push from the progressives only to cave to it in order to appear quote unquote reasonable so that they can argue with the push that followed after the original. This keeps going on, eventually accepting every radical agenda as long as it isn't the most progressive thing currently. Look at gay marriage now. If you look at a historic Gallup poll on the question of whether or not a gay marriage should be recognized and have the same rights as a real marriage, you'll find that in 1996, people opposed it 68% to 27%. That seems like a whole different world than we're in now. Fast forward to 2022, and people now support it 71% to 28%. Just flipped it on its head pretty much. So we went from 2 in 3 people opposing it back in 1996 to now almost 3 out of 4 people supporting it. This is the result of liberals using the libertarian tendencies of many conservatives against their arguments. Say, for example, why shouldn't 2 men or 2 women get together and be married if that's truly what they want? Who's the authority to say that marriage can only be between a man and a woman? Once those questions are established and not answered correctly, it opens the floodgates for just about anything at that point. Once they had garnered enough support for gay marriage, quote unquote, they decided to pursue the transgenderism route next. It is so ridiculous that the gay agenda seem not, it's just that they just don't seem so bad in comparison to the trans stuff. It's prompting the less principled conservatives to just decide that they weren't going to die on that hill, but rather now to draw the line concerning the trans stuff. Oh, now we're really serious. Right. Well, now we know how that worked. No, the trans stuff is fine as long as it's just the adults doing whatever they please with their lives. Just don't get the children involved was the next line drawn. So here's where I actually find that the liberals in this case are more coherent than the conservatives are in a way. When we know we have something that's good, we want to share with others. Just got a raise, I want to take the family out to dinner and celebrate. I got a new car, I want to take everyone for a drive in it to share, in this great moment. Good Catholics are the same way with their faith. They know it as the truth and the way to heaven and be with God forever. So that's why we want to evangelize. Heck, some Americans who are very patriotic about their country and truly believe it is the land of the free and the greatest nation to have ever existed would want immigrants to move here and share in that, or to spread the American values across the globe, because everyone should be able to experience this. So, my question is this. There are genuinely some liberals who have been brainwashed into believing that the trans movement is a good thing, that every person should be allowed to decide whatever they want to be and shouldn't be given any rigid guidelines in how we want to live our lives. If that's the case, why wouldn't they want to share this new great thing with the kids? It's only natural that as humans, we want our kids to be brought up with the same values and principles as we ourselves hold, and even teach others those same things. If you're a conservative who has decided to just let the adults do whatever they please with the trans stuff, they're going to be further convinced that they're right and it is good, and therefore should be allowed to be taught and passed on to the kids. Pretty much at the end of the day, this thing has to be either good or evil. If it's good, it should be promoted. If it's evil, it needs to be destroyed. The incoherence of conservatives has allowed this to happen. They decided that morality can be subjective by removing God from the public square, not by outlawing churches, but by separating church and state and concluding that any law or moral stance cannot be decided based on the Christian faith. The liberals simply took this pathetic stance and ran miles with it. If there is no greater authority, aka God, to decide what's good or evil, who really can decide that for everybody? The consensus amongst liberals, moderates, and some conservatives is that aside from the obvious, such as murder and theft, that you just can tell that it's wrong. It's just simply a lot of gray area and can be interpreted in many different ways. If you're a conservative that feels that way, that God's will should not be imposed on the public square, then you're never going to convince a liberal that transing the kids is an evil act. Who are you to tell them that it's wrong? They believe that it's right, and they want to share that sentiment. So no matter how I'm going to raise my children to be good Catholics and teach them the faith, because I know it is truth. What I'm basically trying to say is, as perverse, backward, and satanic the agenda of the liberals is, their method behind it seems much more consistent. So as in, they know what they want, and they go after it in all aspects, from film to music to education, government, everything. Because for the most part, they don't give any ground on what they're believing in. Are they constantly changing how far they want to go with this? Yeah, but they don't, once they establish it, they don't give up any ground. They don't give up on it. Conservatives, on the other hand, are so afraid or ignorant to declare that God's law is what rules us, and that needs to be ingrained into every fiber of the nation's being. Instead, they're more worried about their other God, known as freedom, and if they try to use power, then they risk seeming too authoritarian. So you just end up with this spineless, incoherent mess that has given up miles of ground to radical progressives on the other side. So anyway, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you will like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. God bless you.